Hello and welcome to Box, the football talk show brought to you by Sportology TV with myself, Ali Drew, and welcome to the first show of 2021. On the last show that we did, it was a special edition show. It was just a look back at when we asked some of our former footballer guests who the greatest player that they ever played alongside was. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out because we got some good answers. And there was two in particular that were very, very popular. So check that out. But on this week's episode of Box to Box, we have two great guests. First up, we are joined by a podcaster, safe to say a hardcore Aston Villa fan, and you'll regularly see him host and as a guest on the Villa View. We are delighted to be joined by Tys Bracey. Ty, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. And thanks for having me. First guest of 2021.
You are. Welcome. Thanks for coming on. So how is life treating you? Obviously, we're in lockdown. Football is continuing, but what's life like at the moment?
Apart from I wouldn't call it exercise, but I try and go out and get some fresh air. And, as often as I can, but, just working from home. Football's been a massive help, actually, to be fair, with it continuing the first lockdown. I really struggled with that with no football, no one to interact with on social media because there's nothing to talk about, So, this time round, I'm glad that football's carried on.
Yeah, I at one point I thought it was looking like it was going to get cancelled, but so far so good. We're all right. So as I say, you are an Aston Villa fan and podcaster. Yeah. What sort of got you into that? I presume you've been a lifelong Aston Villa fan. Just talk to me about the sort of journey you've been on.
So it was pretty tough for me as a kid because my brother's an Arsenal fan and my dad's a Birmingham City fan. So the only other Villa fan in my house was my mum, So I always say with the Villa, you don't choose the Villa choose you. So growing up, I was brought up. But my brother used to have a season ticket at the Villa just purely for his love of football and, a local team. And we were doing well at the time. So when I was young, all of his mates were Villa fans. So he used to just take me in the games that his mates couldn't go. So, from a young age, that's where it all started for me. I did a bit of a naughty prank on a footballer's agent one summer when there was some speculation that there was a player leaving. So I called up his agent and I pretended to be Brendan Rodgers in the worst Northern Irish accent you've ever heard. And he rang me back. I left him a voicemail of this Belgian number and he rang me back. So I was in the boozer with the lads and I'm like, lads, get this on loudspeaker quick. Ben Teke's agent's ringing me back and recorded the entire thing and then it blew up. But I've always used social media to talk about football. And then, for some reason, some people just enjoy listening and reading the things that I say. And then got close with Dan Bardell a few years ago and a few of the guys at Birmingham Live. And did a few podcasts for Birmingham Live. And then I did a few guest spots on the Villa View. And then when Tom had to leave last year to focus on his job, Dan got me in and said, we'll get you on more frequently with you and him and Dolan. And it's all been fun and games since then. Yeah, so that's been fun and keeping me busy, So I do enjoy doing that as well. It's bang on.
Well, it's actually quite a good time to speak to you about Aston Villa and their season. You've disappeared. Their season in general. It has been, they're 8th in the table. It's been quite a successful season so far for them. And just talk to me about, obviously last season was that they just survived. It was a bit of a tough season for them. Talk to me about the fact that they're obviously doing so much better this time around.
It's a bit of a breath of fresh air, really, because the last 3 years, our fate has been decided by the last game of the season. 2 trips to Wembley, and then are we going to go back down? So it's nice to have a relatively normal season this year where it doesn't look like we're going to be fighting on the last day of the season, for relegation. Who knows? With the form that we're in at the minute, it might end up coming down to the last game of the season. If we get Europa League, I'm being a bit hopeful, but anything above 14th this season, I would have classed as a success, as going to the last game of the season. I think 3 or 4 games before the end of the season, we were nailed on to go down, and I still had the faith and I was getting nailed online. Like, people were like, "Oh, you're a muppet, you're too positive," and I was like, "No, I believe." And Jack had done a few interviews where he was like, "Nah, Villa ain't going down. That ain't happening." I believed in him. So I'm over the moon that we're in a good place.
You mentioned Jack there, Jack Grealish. Obviously, he did sign the 5-year contract. How important is that for Aston Villa? At one point, it wasn't looking like that he was. I didn't think he was going to continue at the club, but he did. He obviously sees something in the club. So, how important was that for the fans?
Absolutely massive. I mean, Jack had come out and said that he had a chat with Dean and the owners, and they've got a vision and a plan, which I assume over the next, probably 3 to 5 years of where they want to be. We've got ambitious owners with a lot of money who've got history in managing sports teams. So first delve into football life, but we've got football owners with a substantial amount of money. You can see that they're not shy with their money, and they've got a vision. And that, I think, if Jack's believing in it, I think that's massive. When you look at, we're bringing in the likes of Ross Barkley in on loan. He's openly come out and said Jack was pestering him. Come on, come and join us. Get your minutes in. Come and fight with us. And you can see with the quality that we've got on the pitch at the minute, that alone, that Jack has that pull on players. I mean, I love seeing English players, playing for Villa. Just because there's a lot of there isn't many clubs with a lot of English talent. So to see, raw English talent, you got likes of Ezri Konsa, young English, doing, coming up through the ranks. It's just really refreshing to see that Jack has that pull on players who are of an international standard, who have coming from clubs like Chelsea, over the moon with that.
Well, we do have to also talk about the FA Cup. So in the third round, obviously, Aston Villa are now out of the FA Cup, but they put on a very good performance against Liverpool. It was basically a team of just the youth and the youngsters, and it was an amazing performance. And just talk to me about that, and also obviously Louis Barry, who was amazing.
Yeah, well, I talked to Louis a little bit on Twitter. We talk a little bit in the DMs, and for a I think he's 17. He's such a down-to-earth lad, and he's got his head screwed on. He's just a professional. How he talks, he's a professional. I talk to him like one of the lads, but you can just, the way he comes across, he's just a genuine young lad with a massive love for Villa and for football. And as we were talking about with Jack, it's just another fairy tale waiting to happen. We've got a young player, 17 years old, Villa in his blood, Villa in his veins, and it means everything to him. And, as soon as he's beat that last defender, you just know he's not going to miss. When we're paying near £1 million for a 17-year-old kid, it's unheard of, isn't it, really? Especially when nobody had really heard of him at that point. So for him to come on and do that, they had nothing to lose. The team had nothing to lose. And, as soon as that first goal went in, I was like, oh, here we go. Mane, I don't think I've ever seen him score a header as sweet as that, to be fair. It was a great goal. But I was over the moon with the performance. I think they really played their hearts out, So refreshing to see that we've got some great players in our youth academy, that they've gone in there. They looked a little bit nervous at first, but at half-time, you're going in 1-1 with what are essentially the champions of the world. Now, don't get me wrong, they're having a few rocky games here and there this season. I'm over the moon that they went toe-to-toe with them for 45 minutes.
Yeah, it seems that Aston Villa do well against Liverpool. Obviously, they had the massive win towards the start of the season. They're doing, having some incredible wins. Obviously, Liverpool champions, how well they performed last year. It's not proven the same sort of dominance this season, but it seems like the tougher the task, Villa seem to perform better.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we've had games where there's been fixtures where you think, this is nailed on. We've done Arsenal, we've done Liverpool, and then you come up against teams like Burnley, and you're not doing as well as you probably think you're doing, and then we just seem to be stepping up. I mean, even with Man United, we've gone toe to toe with them. I mean, we've been unfortunate, with some VAR controversy. Even Emi Martinez, I had posted the video of the VAR incident, and our goalkeeper had retweeted it saying, like, highlight of the night with an angry face. So that had caused some controversy online as well. But yeah, it's just refreshing to see us go up against these big clubs and who have got a mass amount of depth in their squads, probably a lot more than us, and that's probably one of the massive issues that we have currently. But it's not something you can solve in your second season of the Premier League. You know, it's something that's going to take time building depth within that squad. But yeah, over the moon to see us go toe to toe with these big clubs. Over the moon.
Do you see any changes? Obviously, winter transfers at the moment. Do you see any changes that they're going to make, or that maybe they should make, areas that they need to improve?
I don't think they're going to add anyone to. I think it's depth. I think that's the main thing. I think they'll stick with the core 11 that they've currently got for the season. You know, Al Ghazi's in form. You know, he's doing really well, which gives us another option on the wing. He's found his confidence, you know, so he's playing some really good football. We've got Traore and Trez on the right side. And then, obviously, with Barkley being out, we switch Jack into the central role. And then we have Al Ghazi on the left. And then on the right, we either have Traore or Trez. But Trez is injured at the minute. I wouldn't mind seeing us add... it's looking like Bjorn Engels is going to go out the door. There's been a lot of stuff floating about that he's going to leave. So I wouldn't mind seeing us getting another centre-back for cover there. I can't see them bringing anyone in this window who's going to get a solid, guaranteed place in the starting 11 every week. Not in this window, no.
What have you made of this season as a whole? Obviously, it's been crazy. No fans. It's been different because last season was extended, so they didn't have as much break, and it's just been totally different. But there's been some crazy results and crazy things happening. What do you make of this season? Do you like it? Do you like that it's so unpredictable?
Yeah, I love that it's unpredictable, to be honest with you. I think people go into an away game probably expecting a tougher fixture than being at home. But with no fans, you're seeing some results at stadiums you probably wouldn't expect. I don't enjoy there being no fans because, I have a season ticket at Villa Park. But a part of me thinks, yeah, I'm kind of glad there isn't because of how well we're doing. But at the same time, I would give anything to be back at the game, if you know what I mean. So I do see both sides of the spectrum of, okay, we seem to be doing well with no fans. Is that because they haven't got people screaming crap at them for 90 minutes? Or, at the same time, I want a balti pie, a beer, and I want to be sat in my seat, absolutely divering because it's like -3 on a wet Sunday afternoon. You just can't beat it.
No, I hope that soon. It was looking like the fans were returning. I think there were some games could have a couple of thousand, but obviously that's all been stopped again. But hopefully it won't be too long, because when your team's doing well as well, the fans want to enjoy it with them. Like at the end of last season when Liverpool was celebrating and none of their fans were there to do it with them. It's just the fans are such a big part of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's and I think the players probably feel the same about that as well. Do you know what I mean? Because I can't imagine what it feels like, to have 40,000 people singing your name. Like, it's probably things, you can never really, even try and think about or think how it feels unless it actually happens. Like Grealish, when they come on the field at the start of the game, he'll always run to the whole end and, clap. And I can't imagine what that feels like, because the whole end, forgive me for being biased, it's one of the greatest stands in English football, and I'm not just saying that. Last season I got invited into corporate by the Villa sponsors, so I wasn't in my normal seat for this Friday night game against Everton, and it's bouncing. I don't know if everyone's been on the boozer before, but I'm not in the whole end, and I didn't actually realise how loud the whole end was until I wasn't in it, because I'm part of the people echoing it usually. This time I was like, blimey, is that what it sounds like to the rest of the ground? So get the fans back in, I reckon. Yeah,
because it seems like, I'm sure there's other players who have stuck to certain clubs, but it seems like it happens more at Villa, where players will stick with Villa season after season. It seems to happen more at Villa than the other clubs in the Premier League. I just see that. Is that because of the club, like the sort of family atmosphere? Maybe because they're seen as a slightly smaller club, but they're up competing against the big clubs.
That's a really good question, to be fair.
It is true, though, isn't it? It seems like more Villa players stay there.
Right, Yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you mean, but I kind of feel like I'm being biased because I don't know how it feels to support or feel like I'm part of another club. So I only can talk about my experience of Villa. You know, with Dean Smith, you know, managers, I want to see Dean Smith at Villa for the next 10 years. That's unheard of in English football nowadays. How often do you see a manager at a club for even 5 years? Do you know what I mean? It's just not, it isn't a thing nowadays, you know. So when you've got your captain, who's a Villa fan, you know, your manager's a Villa fan, you know, you got youth players who are Villa fans who are like wonder kids coming through. It's crazy, you know. So I've always thought there's been a certain magic about Villa, and that's just how Villa makes me feel. But I do see where you're coming from in terms of, you know, is there something about Villa? I mean, especially now we've got owners and they're spending a lot of money on the training facilities. You know, they're signings. If you look at some of the youth talent that's come through, we're fighting with the top 4 clubs to get the signatures of these 16-year-old lads. We signed a 16-year-old lad from Exeter, can't pronounce his surname, so I'm not even going to try, who played against Liverpool. And you've got Liverpool fighting for him. Do you know what I mean? And then that they choose to come to Villa. There's things that we don't see as fans where you know that they've just got that pull. You know, they've got that magic. The players all get on. Like, there's a lot of them that are all really good friends. You know, you've got Grealish, McGinn, Barkley, Target, all a really close group of mates. You know, and then you've got Dele Alli and Maddison. I think that's a group of them on WhatsApp. I think they call themselves the Avengers. You'll notice when one of them score, they do this. That's right, their group. Okay. Yeah, and that's from them as a 6 on WhatsApp. So even if they don't play for Villa, you'll get Dele Alli and Maddison. When they score, they do the Avengers logo. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is mad. That is mad. Well, their next game, I think, is tomorrow against Spurs. Is that right?
Been cancelled.
Has it?
Yeah, so Spurs have now got Fulham.
Fulham. Yes, it has. Yeah. So how does that work in terms of, I mean, presumably they're going to have to do the game on a catch-up. Does it just change the order of the games?
No, so you'll get a game squeezed in the middle here and there, but the problem is we've already had a Newcastle fixture cancelled, and our first game of the season against Man City was cancelled, I think, because they didn't get a 10-day break because of Europe. Mm-hmm. I think that's what happened. So, yeah, we're already 2 games behind.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, because you've got 2 games in hand as such, but it doesn't necessarily work. I mean, it could be an advantage or it could be a disadvantage, because if you're having to squeeze in an extra game and have less rest, and it just sort of upsets the apple cart a little bit.
Yeah, well, the John McGinn had come out openly in an interview and had a bit of a dig at the bigger clubs who were complaining about that they need rest and stuff. And Dean Smith's done the same. Dean Smith has openly come out and said, I've never seen a player being carried off the pitch for exhaustion. And he's openly said that the lads, that they don't care how many fixtures they have. They don't care. They feel privileged and hungry that are still getting to play the game. So they don't care if they're doing 3 games in a week. You know, John McGinn has openly said, I don't care how many games I have to play. You know, I'm just privileged and feel happy that I still get to play football, which is refreshing to know. And I'm sure that echoes across the dressing room.
So what is the next fixture now? Do we know?
I think we've got Everton on Sunday. Okay. I think it's Sunday.
And what are your hopes for that game?
Well, it's Kazoo Army at the minute. We're both sponsored by Kazoo and we're both doing really well. It's going to be a tough game. Everton in form. They're playing good football. I think Calvert-Lewin might be injured. I think if they've got a midweek game, I think he's definitely injured for that. So I transferred him out of my Fantasy Premier League this morning and he said he was injured. So it's going to be a tough game. If Everton have got a fully fit squad, Ancelotti's got a great group of players playing some really good football from them. And if Calvert-Lewin's playing, he might be a bit of a problem, you know. But Richarlison, again, he's another dangerous threat. And then you've got James Rodriguez as well, who's playing some good football and getting some good assists in. So, it could go either way. I'm going to go with a draw. I reckon 1-1 draw.
And because Villa had loads of positive cases, I think, didn't they, for COVID? So will a lot of people be back? Will the players be back, or are they still having to isolate?
Yeah, I think they've got a 10-day period. So I think from when it happened, which was last month. Yeah, I think it'll be over 10 days. So I think it's 10 first team players and 4 backroom staff. And then anyone else who's come back negative, they've been around the people who are positive, so they have to self-isolate as well. So fitness might end up being a bit of an issue, but it all depends what the players have been doing from home. You know, I guess the problem is with Villa, you'll know if a player's tired. They can't hide it. You know, we play some intense football. You know, our wingers, our centre mids, Ollie Watkins pressing the back line. They're all putting in a shift. They're all putting in some serious legs in that game and giving everything for us. So you'll see if fitness is going to be an issue, but that'll be the only thing for me. I think we might end up with a fully fit squad, you know, assuming that there's no positive cases on top before they start training again. I think there might be a day or two of where we can train before the game is, but it's after the 10 days. So fingers crossed we can get some minutes in on the training before it kicks off.
Yeah, it's a nightmare with everything. I suppose the Premier League just have to adapt to these things happening because it's gonna keep being like this for a while, I guess.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask, what your sort of top 4 predictions for the table at the end of the season is. Difficult one.
It's a very difficult one. I'm going to go with, I think Liverpool are going to bottle it. I reckon Man City,
right?
Liverpool, Man United, Tottenham.
Okay. And then where do you think Villa? You think Villa will be easily top half?
Yeah, I do. I reckon I'm going to be brave and say 7th.
Okay.
Assuming that we continue as we've gone on, which, you know, I can't see the heads dropping, I can't see the form dropping, I'm going to go 7th.
Okay. And before we finish, I just want to know, who is your favourite all-time Aston Villa player?
That's a very, very good question. I'm going to go with, not for the length of time he was there. He wasn't there for a long time. Benito Carbone is my favourite Villa player that's played for Villa. He was just a very skillful Italian with long hair and a headband. You know, so when I was watching matches a day as a kid, am I still here?
Yeah, you are. You are.
Yeah. When I was watching matches a day as a kid, he was picking them in left, right, and centre for Sheffield Wednesday. And then when we got him, you know, he did bits then. But yeah, he's my favourite Villa player for sure.
Perfect. Well, Ty, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great talking to you. And good luck for Villa on Sunday. Fingers crossed they continue to play well. There's no more COVID cases and everything runs smoothly.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and we'll chat again soon. Great to be joined there by Ty. And in the 2 minutes since he actually left this interview, he has sent me a notification that Aston Villa's home game to Everton that we were talking about, which is happening on Sunday, is looking likely to be postponed despite already being pushed back till Sunday. So we don't actually know when Aston Villa's next game is, as their Spurs game for tomorrow has been cancelled, and it's likely that the Everton one will be postponed as well. But guys, make sure you stay tuned. We have part 2 coming up later on in the week, where we are joined by another great guest. Please subscribe to the channel, leave some comments, share, do what you can. We'll keep bringing you great content, and we will see you next time.